August 24th, 2023 will always be remembered as the date when the professional wrestling industry lost one of the most creative performers of all time in Bray Wyatt. To say that this was a surprise to many people around the world would be an understatement. No one, and I mean no one, was expecting it, as most of us were expecting him to get back in the ring as soon as possible. Bray's illness was kept secret, and although his privacy was to be respected, this sudden and heartbreaking news came as a great surprise to all of us. Although he was only 36 years old before his untimely death, Bray left behind a legacy full of creative and phenomenal moments. His creativity is the reason why fans were behind him in the first place. God only knows what else Bray had in store for us. With that in mind, we're going to look at the life and career of Bray Wyatt and the main reason he left us so early. Bray Wyatt, or Windham Rotunda as he is actually called, was born in Brooksville, Florida. He was the son of WWE Hall of Famer Mike Rotunda, who made a name for himself as an IRS in the WWF at the time. As a third-generation wrestler, it was obvious that wrestling was a big part of Bray's family. He is also the brother of Taylor Rotunda, known to the entire world as Bo Dallas. Bray also had a football past that earned him a scholarship to Troy University, which he left to pursue his very first dream, which was to become a professional wrestler. Before NXT was a reality TV show of sorts, the WWE developmental territory was known as Florida Championship Wrestling, but it wasn't until 2010 that he joined NXT under the name Husky Harris, with Cody Rhodes serving as his pro. Bray soon found himself on the main roster when he joined The Nexus, who were on a hot program with John Cena. Bray never reached the heights he would later reach. Harris was written out of the shows after an attack by Randy Orton, who at the time was feuding with the leader of The Nexus, CM Punk. Bray returned to FCW and remained largely irrelevant, but that didn't stop him from coming up with unique ideas for himself that would soon make him a superstar. Triple H completely revitalized NXT in 2012 and allowed several superstars to show the true talent they secretly possessed. Bray was one of them. Bray, along with Luke Harper and Eric Rowan, formed a stable called the Wyatt family. He developed a gimmick reminiscent of an evil cult leader who held cryptic promos in an eerie setting. The gimmick was oriented from the Waylon Mercy character from the 90s, which is why one of the Firefly Funhouse characters was later called Mercy. It looked different, and some quickly suspected that Bray Wyatt represented a horror character that Undertaker and Kane were more known for. In 2013, WWE began airing vignettes on Raw to announce the arrival of the Wyatt family on the main program. In the vignettes, Bray held cryptic promos in the wild, with various disturbing images popping up repeatedly. The stable made its main roster debut on the July 8th episode of Raw when it attacked Kane. Bray continued to attack Kane, repeatedly telling him to follow the buzzards. As a result, a Ring of Fire match was scheduled between the two for SummerSlam. Bray won with the help of Rowan and Harper. Later, Bray feuded with Daniel Bryan, who was the talk of the town at the time, and Bryan even joined the stable at one point, if not entirely voluntarily. Their feud ended at the Royal Rumble in 2014, when both faced off in the show's opening match. In that match, Bray picked up the win in what was the best match of his career up to that point. WWE was very fond of Bray. They wanted to position him in big feuds, and that was evident when the Wyatt family attacked John Cena later in this show. The Wyatt family then crossed paths with The Shield, which led to this amazing 6-man tag match at the Elimination Chamber PPV. There was so much anticipation for this match that the fans in the arena started screaming, "This is awesome!" before the match even started. Bray got the win for his team and was about to face the face of the company at WrestleMania 30. However, things didn't look so good for the Eater of Worlds at first. The plan was to make Wyatt look much stronger than Cena as the younger of the two opponents. The only problem was that John Cena won the match, and Wyatt couldn't recover from that defeat for a long time. Bray should have won clean and been positioned as the company's top heel. In 2015, he lost a feud with Roman Reigns, and only in 2016, his new rise slowly began. Randy Orton joined the Wyatt family, and Bray even managed to win the WWE Championship at Elimination Chamber in 2017. Randy betrayed Wyatt and subsequently defeated him at WrestleMania that same year. Bray then got involved in forgettable feuds with the likes of Finn Balor and Matt Hardy. But Bray was more than creative. He had more unique ideas than any other superstar. In 2019, Bray shed his role as the Eater of Worlds and came up with something even more unique. He started portraying himself as the host of a children's show called Firefly Funhouse. Bray played a Mr. Rogers-like character and talked to various puppets on Firefly Funhouse. But it was his alter ego that caused a stir. At SummerSlam 2019, Bray debuted as a demonic version of the talk show host with a mask. He decimated Finn Balor in a matter of minutes, and Wyatt created an extreme amount of buzz. He sold the most merch of anyone, but the company screwed everything up by booking him terribly. His match with Seth Rollins at Hell in a Cell was blamed by everyone, and the main problem with Wyatt's The Fiend gimmick was that it was a demon that was unstoppable, and his opponents always looked weak in hindsight. The Fiend eventually won the Universal Championship, only to give it up to Goldberg later in the Super Showdown event before WrestleMania the next year. One of the few things that came out of his gimmick great was Bray's feud with John Cena. It was much better than 2014's, and their cinematic Firefly Funhouse at WrestleMania 36 is one of the most creative matches you'll ever see. In general, though, Bray Wyatt's the character really blossomed during the pandemic era. There, the lack of an audience allowed him to do a lot of scenes that wouldn't work with an audience. He became the figurehead of the WWE shows during this time. After his surprising defeat to Randy Orton at WrestleMania 36, Wyatt was no longer present on TV after Raw after Mania. On July 31st, 2021, Wyatt was shockingly fired by the company. The dismissal came as a surprise to everyone, as Bray was one of the best merchandise sellers and one of the best wrestlers in the company. Rumors of Bray's return to the company began last September when the company started playing the famous White Rabbit song at live events and during commercial breaks of TV shows. With QR codes hidden throughout the shows, fans had fun uncovering the mystery of White Rabbit. The QR codes led to several clues online that pointed to Bray Wyatt. Bray Wyatt celebrated his explosive return at Extreme Rules in a spectacle that gave fans goosebumps. The promo Bray gave on the SmackDown episode following his return seemed as if Wyndham Rotunda was speaking to the crowd as a private person. Bray thanked the fans for the love they showed him when his close friend Luke Harper passed away and when Bray was released. Bray introduced the whole world to Uncle Howdy and had a great feud with LA Knight. Their Rumble match may not have been great, but the feud made Knight a megastar. Wyatt was scheduled to feud with Bobby Lashley, but was taken off TV due to an unspecified injury. Wyatt's illness was kept a secret throughout the year, and many even began to speculate if all of this was a way to cover up the fact that Vince had returned to power, as it was he who had fired Bray in 2021. However, on August 19th, it was reported that Bray was suffering from a life-threatening illness but was making positive progress towards a return to the ring. He was ready for a return to the ring and was waiting for the right time. However, nature had something else in store for Bray. On August 24th, completely out of nowhere, Triple H announced on X or Twitter that Bray had sadly passed away. Fans were heartbroken, and more than that, they were stunned that such a young star left this world so soon. Sean Ross Sapp of Fightful revealed that Bray suffered from COVID, which aggravated his heart problems. The cause of death was a heart attack.
I was given permission to reveal that earlier this year, Wyndham Rotunda, Bray Wyatt, got COVID that exacerbated a heart issues. There was a lot of positive progress towards a return and his recovery. Unfortunately today, he suffered a heart attack and passed away.
Bray always had a hard time with the company's creative department. His ideas were creative and revolutionary, but they were hard to implement. Vince never really understood what Bray was trying to accomplish with his gimmicks and never really understood the meaning behind Bray's characters. Vince, in general, was never a big supporter of Bray Wyatt and his created characters, despite the outstanding merchandise sales. His physique, in particular, was a thorn in his side, which is why he removed him from TV back in 2010. Wyatt himself criticized the lack of creative direction of his stories or characters, which was mainly also due to Vince. Therefore, it came between both again and again to verbal conflicts. A not further specified WWE employee once said on the subject, "If things were shit, Wyatt said that they were shit, and Vince saw it as difficult to deal with it." To understand what kind of guy Wyatt was in terms of creativity, I can quote WWE writer Rob Fee. He was always creative. He loved to call and talk for hours about obscure TV horror movies from the 90s or YouTube videos with 400 views that inspired him. He loved that cover, spear, Bray wins was a meme. He loved giving fans pieces of a puzzle and watching with glee as they put it together. He really loved that you all loved him. After WrestleMania, a report came out that WWE had found a new writer to work specifically with Bray Wyatt. It had become so difficult. However, it was observed that Bray was struggling with his mental health. It wasn't announced, but in a post on Instagram on May 19, 2020, he definitely tried to convey something. "I lost myself a few years ago. I never meant to hurt, but I stopped with myself. I felt like I wanted to stop completely." Despite his inconsistent performances, Bray has left a legacy that will never be surpassed. His characters, promos, and matches alone warrant a place in the Hall of Fame in the future. But if there is one thing Bray will forever be known for, it is that he was undoubtedly the most creative star in the history of this business. He had the ability to reinvent himself from time to time and stay relevant with the fans. Not many can say that about themselves. Bray was one of a kind, and there will never be another Bray Wyatt. Thank you, Bray, for everything. Rest in peace. You've got the whole world in your hands.